Ferrari didn't upgrade the SF26 for Miami. They tore it apart and rebuilt it from scratch in 4 weeks. You look at it and start wondering, is this even the same machine anymore? The front wing alone screams that something major went down, but it doesn't stop there. The floor looks reworked, the diffuser feels sharper, and that Macarena rear wing with the new internal pillar. Yeah, that's not a small tweak, that's a statement. Then you catch the finer details, and it gets even wilder. The halo winglets are now stripped into raw carbon, the exhaust geometry has been reshaped, and the footplane, completely redrawn like they hit reset on the whole concept. And underneath all that hardware, there's a deep layer of software changes. The same system Hamilton pushed through 884 kilometers at Fiorano, even grinding through rain, trying to drag performance out of this thing. This isn't a light upgrade. Ferrari didn't just tweak the SF26 for Miami. They tore it down and built it back up. What's rolling onto the Miami grid is basically a 4-week engineering frenzy turned into a race car. 2 full test programs, endless simulator sessions, a Monza filming day that looked way too serious to be just filming. That was straight up hidden race prep. And the goal couldn't be clearer. Catch Mercedes before things spiral out of reach. But here's the catch nobody can ignore. That engine gap, still there, sitting at around 20 to 25 horsepower down, and the DUO upgrade won't land until July. So Miami becomes a pressure test. Ferrari squeezing every last tenth out of the chassis, pushing it to the edge, while the real power fix is still stuck in the pipeline. That's the setup. Now let's break down what Ferrari actually put together, because this is where things get really interesting. The front wing photos from today hit way harder than anything we saw coming out of Monza. Back then, it was all side angles, fans hanging over fences, blurry zoom shots that left too much to guess. But in Miami, Roberto Chinchero got right up close, and now the full picture is out there. And here's the twist. The biggest change isn't what most people thought it would be. The center of the front wing? Completely untouched. The main profile is still the same, no dramatic rebuild, no total reset. Ferrari didn't scrap the wing. They flipped the entire idea of how it works at the edges. Now this is where it gets aggressive. The end plate has been fully reshaped, and you can see a sharp twist running all the way toward the sensor at the leading edge. That's not for style. That's a calculated move to control airflow, delaying separation and forcing air to spill out wide around the front tire. That outwash effect becomes a game changer in Miami, where tight walls and heavy braking zones punish the front tires every lap. Over a full race distance, this isn't just detailed work, it's a survival strategy. By pushing that messy air away from the floor, Ferrari is cutting down heat buildup on the front tires while also boosting how efficiently the floor does its job. And it doesn't stop there. The footplane, that outer horizontal section of the front wing, has been completely reworked near the leading edge curl, dialing in even more precision where it matters most. Now this is where Ferrari really starts flexing the fine details. A brand new flow deflector shows up, pushing air even further outboard, and when you pair that with the redesigned end plate, it creates a tight aerodynamic channel on the SF26 that screams precision. This isn't just design, this is micro-detail obsession at another level. The curl itself has been toned down, less aggressive than before, smoothly tapering toward the trailing edge, and right next to it sits a tiny external channel just outside the side strip at the exit. It's the kind of detail you would never catch in those Monza shots, way too subtle, way too refined. But now in Miami, it's fully visible and it changes the conversation. And here's the wild part. This floor upgrade was actually meant for Bahrain. With Bahrain and Saudi Arabia off the calendar, everything got dumped into Miami at once. That's either a risky overload or perfect timing, depending on how this plays out on track. Now the floor itself, that's where the real engineering madness kicks in. What used to be a single floorboard element has now been split into 3 vertical sections. And these aren't just random cuts. They're designed to work together, creating controlled turbulence and pumping energy into the airflow under the car. More energy means stronger ground effect, and that means more downforce without the drag penalty. Exactly what every team is chasing. This is the sweet spot of Formula One aerodynamics. More vorticity under the floor equals more grip, more stability, and more performance without slowing the car down on the straights. No wonder teams burn endless wind tunnel hours chasing this. And Ferrari didn't stop there. The diffuser has been sharpened up too. The central section now hits airflow harder, splitting it more aggressively and firing it toward the outer walls, creating stronger expansion and squeezing out even more performance from the rear. When a diffuser expands laterally, it pulls pressure down underneath the car, and that's where the magic happens. Lower pressure means stronger ground effect, and when you combine that with the extra vorticity coming from Ferrari's new split floor design, the rear of the SF26 should be hitting way harder in Miami than it ever did in Suzuka. This isn't a small gain. This is a real step forward in downforce. But Ferrari didn't stop at aerodynamics. They went after weight too, and this part is just as sneaky. Insiders are saying they trimmed mass from individual components without touching the aero shapes, which has pushed the SF26 into underweight territory. That's a big deal because now they can add ballast exactly where they want, dialing in balance for each circuit like a cheat code. And in Miami, that flexibility hits different. On a tight street layout like this, being able to place weight perfectly is worth around a tenth per lap, which in Formula One terms is massive. Tiny margins decide everything, and Ferrari just gave themselves more control over those margins. Now let's talk about that Macarena rear wing, because there's more going on than people realize. Everyone saw it rotate, and everyone heard about the instability issues back in China. But the real story is hidden in the mechanics. Ferrari introduced a new rotating pillar, something you could only spot if you really studied those Monza images closely. This pillar isn't just sitting there for support, it actually moves with the wing as it rotates. And its shape controls two critical things at once: how fast and how far the wing rotates and how it flexes under aerodynamic pressure. That combination directly affects how stable the car feels at speed. Back in China, the issue wasn't just random instability, it was inconsistency. The airflow behaved differently depending on speed and load, making the car unpredictable right when drivers needed confidence the most. At 200 km per hour coming out of a corner, the wing reacted one way, but cranked it up to 300 heading into a braking zone, and suddenly it was a different story, unpredictable and messy. That kind of split behavior is exactly what drivers hate. The new pillar fixes that by controlling how the wing deforms through every phase of movement. Now Ferrari can fine-tune how the wing reacts under different loads, keeping it consistent whether the car is launching forward or slamming the brakes. And they didn't stop there. The mounting pylons have been reworked too, now sitting at a sharper angle compared to the standard setup. It might look small, but this geometry tweak changes how forces move through the wing as it folds back. The result? A slight increase in rear axle load right during that critical transition phase. That extra stability under braking isn't random. It was one of Ferrari's main targets with this entire upgrade push. Reports from Auto Racer back this up, saying Ferrari's focus was clear: improve the rear stability on braking significantly. And the revised Macarena wing is their main weapon to make that happen. You can see the aero changes with your own eyes, but the deeper story sits underneath, in the software. That's where things get even more intense. The groundwork started at Fiorano and carried over to Monza, with Hamilton grinding through 884 kilometers in just 2 days on Ferrari's private track. We're talking 297 laps, basically 3 full race distances, and all of it in artificially flooded conditions. This wasn't about tyres. Even though Pirelli wanted wet data, Ferrari had a different mission entirely. After Suzuka, Hamilton admitted there were still parts of the car's behavior he couldn't fully read or predict. That's a problem at this level, and this entire test program was built to hunt down those unknowns and bring the car back under control. He said it straight: power was dropping with zero warning. And then there was Leclerc, pulling more performance out of the exact same car with no clear reason. That kind of mismatch isn't normal, and it points straight at one thing: the energy management system. When two drivers run identical machinery but get different power delivery, something deeper is off. The SF26's harvesting algorithm controls when electrical energy is recovered across the lap, and if that system reacts differently to small inputs, throttle lift, braking pressure, corner entry, even racing line, it creates chaos. That's exactly the inconsistency Hamilton was feeling. So Ferrari went all in at Fiorano, stacking up 884 kilometers of real-world data across every kind of energy scenario they could simulate on track. And the wet conditions? That's where things get even more revealing. Limited traction changes everything. How the battery charges, how energy gets deployed, how the system responds to driver inputs. Running 297 laps through those shifting variables gave Ferrari data no simulator could ever fully replicate. This was raw, unpredictable, real behavior, exactly what they needed to crack the issue. Then came Monza. The updated software was loaded in, pushed hard on long straights and heavy braking zones, conditions that mirror Miami's demands almost perfectly. This wasn't random testing, this was targeted validation. If everything lines up, Fiorano, Monza, simulator, then Hamilton and Leclerc hit Miami with a car that finally delivers power the way it's supposed to. But let's keep this grounded because there's a hard limit here. There's a version of this story where everything works. The Macarena wing stays stable, the new floor delivers grip, the software finally gives consistent power, and Ferrari still ends up behind Mercedes. Not because they failed, but because they're still down 20 to 25 horsepower. That engine gap doesn't disappear overnight. The DUO upgrade isn't coming until later in the season, and until then, Mercedes still holds the edge in raw power. So the full picture? It's not getting solved in Miami alone. What Miami really decides is something more precise. It answers whether this entire upgrade package actually performs the way Ferrari's simulations say it should. That correlation, simulator versus real track, that's the real pressure point. If the floor delivers, if the Macarena holds steady under braking, if Hamilton finally gets clean, predictable power, then suddenly the gap to Mercedes through the corners starts shrinking fast. And on a track like Miami, where the technical infield rewards balance over brute force, that matters more than ever. A sharper SF26 isn't just an upgrade, it's a real fight back into contention. Inside Ferrari, there's belief this package can flip the direction of the 2026 season. Whether that belief holds up or falls apart comes down to what happens in those next 4 sessions in Florida. And that's where everything gets exposed. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss the latest news about the upcoming Miami GP.